Okay, everybody, welcome to the fourth in our series of Aperitif concerts, our interviews, as we're calling them. We are beyond blessed this week to be able to speak to one of our newest Tesoro members, Teresa Gallion. Rather than me, boring you to death with my descriptions, I'm going to let her go ahead and talk about herself a little bit. Teresa, how are you and where are you?
I'm doing fine, and I'm here in Albuquerque today.
Today? Um, with just I know, but just for grins and giggles, tell us where you're coming from and where you're getting ready to go to.
Well, I've been home for quite a while. I was in Egypt in April, uh, in May rather. I'm sorry, and I'm going across the pond again in another month. But I don't like to say where until after I get back.
Okay, that's fine. So let me go ahead and start by asking you the question that I've been asking everybody. Why poetry and why now?
Um, I think that I was born to be a poet uh, because I've always loved to read and recite since I was a child. But I didn't actually start writing poetry until I was in graduate school. And at that time, I was in those tender years of the 20s, and that's when you are going through lots of things. And I was writing mostly down the pain. And I did not keep everything that I wrote at that time. A lot of times I wrote it and just eliminated. So I don't know that I was a serious writer at that point, but I was writing. And I was always writing, usually in between semesters. And then after I graduated, I did a little more writing, but off and on. I didn't get serious about it until I moved to Albuquerque and I started going to poetry readings in the 90s. And then I started writing on a regular basis. And over time, my writing has continued to evolve, improve as I've grown. Um, why now? The only thing I can say is that it's something that I'm compelled to do. You know, it's kind of like I enjoy writing, and no matter what, I will write. Even if no one ever read it or ever listened to it, I would still write.
What is it that inspires, triggers, set you up? What do you have to see or hear or do?
Um, Usually it's something that I see, so it can be an image or an image in my head or an idea, or it can be a combination thereof, an idea leading to an image or an image leading to an idea. More often not, it is an image in my head, and I pick those up almost everywhere. You know, there's a poem almost everywhere you go, but most of the time for me, it's out in nature because I love being outdoors. And if I'm out for a while, particularly if I'm out camping, a lot of times, for instance, I'll sit by the river. And as I'm sitting there listening to the river's flow, which is like a spiritual experience for me, I'll begin to write then. But I also write when I'm walking, sometimes when I'm hiking in the woods, which I love to do also. It's like a walking meditation. I always have a small journal with me, and I'll have to stop and start writing. And sometimes it's at home. I'm just sitting back and taking it easy, chilling, and a notion, a concept comes to me, or I'm reading something. A lot of times when I'm reading something, that stimulates my writing always. So all of those things contribute to me taking the time to write.
Now, you said you didn't consider yourself a serious writer for a while. Um, and I'm interested by that. I'm always interested in what people think makes them a serious writer. Can you break that down for us a little bit?
What I mean by that, I didn't write regularly from the time I graduated until in the 90s, except for every once in a while I might sit and write, but it was very seldom. But when I got here, for whatever reason, which I don't know, maybe it was time, I started writing regularly, like I would be writing every month, not every day, but I would be writing every month. And of course, I started writing even more when I started going venues to listen to others read poetry. I think that kind of motivated me too. But as a result of that, I fell into it more and more often. And so when I first started hiking, when I got here, I didn't carry a journal, but then I started carrying a journal. And sometimes I would be hiking with my hiking buddies. And I tell them I got to stop for a minute because something was rolling in my head and I needed to get it on paper, because if I didn't, I would lose it. So that's all I meant by that.
Now you said you just told us that you write, while you're traveling to all these far-flung places. But do you perform in any of these places, or have you?
No, I do not. I do not travel to perform. That's my travel is a whole separate activity. Uh, uh, Actually, my hiking and traveling are my primary objectives. Those are my uh, highest obsessions. Writing comes in after that, actually. Even though I love to write, it's not something that I feel compelled to do all the time. I write when the spirit moves me, basically. And writing has become for me over the years a spiritual exercise. So I'm constantly working on unfolding spiritually. And I find that is pervading more and more of my writing, even my writing on Egypt, which I'm still doing because Egypt actually grabbed me more so than any other country. Just the whole concept of seeing ancient ruins that are thousands of years old that have been dug up from the sand and so well preserved has really had a major impact on me. And I'm still writing poems out of Egypt, so to speak.
Mhm. So with all of this traveling and all of these different places and all these different influences, um, how do I want to say this? Are you more influenced by the culture, the scenery, the people, the what is it that grabs you and makes you want to write about these places?
It's mostly the scenery, but also the cultural history usually. And so I was intrigued by for instance, by the ancient Egyptian mythology and history, because it goes back, 4 or 5 thousand years, and that's fascinating. And you're walking through tombs and monuments that were preserved by a grain of sand. That is absolutely amazing. That is a spiritual thing for me because it tells me that there's something higher than the human species. And so to me, that's critical. But it's primarily the landscape that I'm interested in of planet Earth and the culture. And it's not intended as a negative, but people come in as the secondary. So it's nice to interact and meet people, because you do on all the trips that I go on.
So besides the traveling, where is the writing going, or does it need to go anywhere? I mean, I know that there are writers who have a defined progress or a mapped out progression of the things that they want to do, the things that they want to say. You said that you write when the spirit moves you. So does that just mean that the writing is going to wander wherever it needs to, or do you have a definite idea?
I don't necessarily have a definite idea most of the time. I don't have a, a map, a planned out map, so to speak. However, what I recognize is that I am on a personal spiritual journey. I'm a seeker. And so my writing speaks to where I am at any given point in time. So as I continue to grow, which I continue to do spiritually, my writing expands more and more in the direction of spirituality. I write from a spiritual perspective. All of my writing has, almost all of it, I should say, has underlying spiritual notes, and also love. Love is an underlying thing within my work, because I feel that that is extremely important. the whole concept and nature of love. And I'm talking about love at every level because love is a universal concept. And so we talk about uh, physical love, spiritual love, uh, psychological love. We talk about love for a flower or a tree or a thing. And all of those things are important to me because they're all a part of nature, which all comes from a higher power. Whatever term you want to use, I use the term God. So it's not a religious thing, but a very spiritual thing. So, for instance, when I want to go to church, I go to the woods and I have my spiritual experience and I meditate. And when I meditate, usually words come forth out of me. And so it happens more and more and more, which means I'm making great progress on my own personal uh, spiritual unfoldment.
Okay. Um, Talk to me about, because it seems, I'm not going to say a minor, but it seems a very, very separate part of who you are and what you do. Talk to me about in performance. How is that experience for you, as opposed to just, like writing it down and you keep moving?
Um, I'm not sure what you're asking me, but what I will say is that I personally do not consider myself a performance poet. Okay. I read and I read with emphasis. I enjoy reading quite often, but that's not the essence of what I am personally or what I feel any need for. But I do enjoy doing it as a sideline, just like I enjoy hiking and traveling.
Okay. So is there something, and I was kind of asking you this in the question previous, is there something big, for lack of a better phrase, coming up, like a collection or a play or anything like that? Or are you just sort of, you write as you write and take it as it comes?
I'm actually working on another book. And now, of course, it's like it's turning into two books because I'm moving toward, and I've been working on this for the last couple of years, and Scent of Love, my last book, ended up interfering with that and came out before this book that I'm working on now, which is called has a working title of Spiritual Awakening. And so that's going to be more spiritually oriented. And that is going to probably appeal to only a smaller segment of the people that are aware of me at this point in time, which is fine. Um, but now, having gone to Egypt, I've been writing so much about Egypt, and I'm still writing about Egypt. And that's impacting me is that I think I'm beginning to evolve into two roads, so to speak. One is spiritual, and the other poems about Egypt and the impact of Egypt on me. So I think that we end up having two books coming out eventually.
Eventually.
Yes,
Okay.
I don't have a deadline, and I don't feel compelled to have a deadline. Um, when I'm ready to release, it will be released, and when I'm ready and feel ready, or I'm happy with enough poems, that will also impact when I will be ready to release a body of work again.
Fantastic. Okay. So it is 5:15. Except we, if nothing else, I am punctual. And this is your turn to do your thing. You have half an hour to regale us, fascinate us, make us cry, make us, whatever it is you feel like you need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you, and the stage is all yours.
Okay. I'm going to start by reading a few of the quatrains from my book, Contemplation in the High Desert. And that's because I haven't read any of these for a while. These are basically 4-line verses that are totally based on my readings over the years of Rumi, a mystic Sufi poet. So I just want to share a few of those before I go into my longer pieces. The first one. I lay a prayer on your chest to soothe your burning sleep. It is selfish to hold back when love flows in my river. And the next quatrain. Some days it is enough to simply look up, take a deep breath, savor the deep blue sky. The next one. A thought of you so powerful, it breaks my wine glass. I cannot afford such thoughts. Crystal is too expensive. And the last one I'll read is, I cannot tell you how to live your life. I can only tell you how I live mine. Is there something from my dinner plate you need? Take a spoonful, please. And this came out in 2011, and it was my first book. I don't know if you can see that, Contemplation in the High Desert. And it is a complete book of 4-line verses based upon my readings of Rumi. And I refer to them as quatrains. Okay. And I'm going to read a poem from my second book, which is Chasing Light. Chasing Light came out in 2013, and it essentially was a memoir in verse and covers an elective presentation of so many aspects of my life. But I'm going to read this poem because I'm kind of feeling it the last few days. I need to get to the woods. It's called A Serious Chat with God. Lord, you know we need to talk. Thank you for the rent money, and I apologize for calling the boss a witch. You know my thoughts, I better confess. You gave me the capacity to choose. I'd rather be hiking with a journal in my right hand, a pen in the left, stopping along the trail, writing down my pain. The wind howls through the trees, lightning dances around the trunks, clunks of ice hit me on the head. Couldn't we have a quiet, peaceful chat? The last time I came to these woods, you seemed a little upset. Hitting me on the head with hail balls is a little rough, don't you think? I got the message. What did Mama used to say? A hard head carries, you know the rest. A gentle breeze kisses my face. A gray curtain opens, exposes blue sky. White fluffy angels swim to the east. Streams of light streak the trees. Thank you for getting my attention. I need to leave all the excess baggage at the trailhead when we go for a chat. Of course, our little secret is I pick them back up when you send me back down the trail. The last time I took only one bag. I saw you smiling when I opened the car trunk. Gray clouds burst into laughter, roll across the mountain peak. Water blossoms fall one by one. Thank you, Lord. I hear you. It's okay to work on one issue at a time. When I'm ready to give up that suitcase, you will be waiting at the trailhead. I heard God laughing as I drove down the road. And the next piece I'm going to read from Chasing Light. It's called Flashbacks at Midnight with Hafiz. This is a tribute to my parents. and also to Hafiz, who has a major impact on my writing also. My mind wanders back to childhood, hopscotch and popsicle sticks, nickel deals and red suckers, 4 metal wheels holding onto black rubber, concrete kissing skin knees, showers pouring from gray clouds, the scent of red clay dirt luring the taste buds. Last night, Hafiz told me God has written 1,000 promises all over your heart. I place my hand over my heart and listen to its message, the flutter in my ears golden, the light in my eyes sparkle. I float in ecstasy, unable to express the sensations flowing in my veins. My mind wanders back to childhood, hide and seek, marbles and spinning tops, playing jacks on the front porch, baseball in the heat of afternoon, skinned arms and legs sliding back to first base. Last night, Hafiz told me your soul and my soul once sat together in the beloved's womb playing footsie. I look at my feet and his. The gleam around his smile is pure crystal. My mind wanders back to childhood, stick horses, 2-cap guns, and a cowboy hat. Bolo bats, picking blackberries, bleeding hands, sitting on the steps waiting for Granny's blackberry pie. Sunday sharing with the neighbor's dog Tippy, fried chicken and biscuits running down his nose. Last night, Hafiz told me, I can help you write a letter of resignation to all your fears and sadness. My heart flutters in the heat of those words, jubilant tears roll over red cheeks. The teacher bows and walks away. My mind wanders back to childhood. Pop's call to come inside, the sun has gone down, primping for tears filled with, I don't wanna. Mama says, zip it, been playing all day. Nightly bath, racing with mom to get my pajamas on, a prayer on bent knees, a tucking covers and a kiss. I love you too. Last night, Hafiz told me, I have wrapped my laughter like a birthday gift and left it beside your bed. My gratitude flows to a loving mom and pops. I was a happy child. And then I want to read from my most recent book, Scent of Love, which came out in 2021. And I'll read a couple of pieces from that. The first one is called The Edge of Karma. You drive my thoughts 1,000 miles to the village you call home. The temple of my heart lays wasted in your bed, digs into your icy blanket, rides your waves of frost. I must be dreaming if I'm here with you on the edge of freezing. Your cold embrace sends sparkling chills up my back. You are my karmic ritual, payback for exceeding my budget. I open humble arms, welcome the opportunity to be with you. I must pass all my tests this semester, learn patience in your winter storm, tolerance as we work through negative baggage, endurance as we walk the long road home. The dream gets better every minute. I see you lying on my chest, wrapped in my arms, feels of iris giggle and flirt with velvet tongue teasers. The next piece is called The Sacred Feminine. I dedicate this to my Tesaro sisters. Sacred Feminine. The sacred feminine sends the blood. and releases the tension of the goddess. When the blood comes, know that thou art woman, and the womb is sacred. This portal of holiness is ready to open and release the blood. The womb gives birth to masculine and feminine energy. We praise the womb for the gift of the sacred life of flesh, enfolding souls for a ride on the earth plane. Only the awakened may touch the thighs of the sacred feminine and experience the elixir of static love. The well of love goes deep. We must pass the physical to reach the ultimate realm of the ecstatic womb. And that's Scent of Love, my latest book.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
And now I'm going to read some of my work that I've been writing as a result of having gone to Egypt. And I'll keep reading until you tell me to stop. So a 2-minute warning would be wonderful.
Gotcha.
River reflection. My walking meditation draws me to the spirit of the Rio Grande, soothing in the morning light. I feel regal after the benediction of an Egyptian massage. No words to adequately describe the ancient hold of energy of temple ruins and tombs, unearthed in all their glory, tease my many lifetimes sitting here beside the river. I am remarkably blessed here in the Bosque with a wave of New Mexico love light surrounding me. I gaze the eloquence of delightful cottonwood as it sings in green lyrics all around the river and me. I could shout my gratitude over and over again, and that would not be sufficient to express my joy to be home in my beloved New Mexico, reflecting on my journey. I touch the Rio Grande, step out of my body into the Nile River. I feel the weight of 4,000 years speak to me in tongues. I can understand when it tells me I am still here. Mankind may pollute and abuse me, cause a temporary flu, but cannot destroy me. I will be here when all the pathetic souls of earth leave the planet, for I am eternal. I am the key of life. I am the fluid of life. I am the goddess of energy. I will survive another 4,000 years. I will still be here. My soul feels the cold vigor of those years, making me tremble in the magnitude of those words. It is the power of earth to tell the story in generational waves as we repeat the cycles of life and death, and the river still flows. Coming back to my body, I sit by the Rio Grande, run my fingers across the water, feel the connection between the Nile and Rio Grande in the essence of a river's flow. Against the sun. Every time I hug a tree, I know the hug of God. I hold tight for a while just to feel that energy. I whisper into the bark, thank you, my ears hear. You're welcome. Go share your love. And I think of you floating down the Nile River, holding my hand. I catch my breath one moment and you are gone. I walk back into the present and your blue-green eyes say, not ready. A teardrop rolls down your face. You are still frozen in that past life when we fought against the sun. And this is to the goddess Isis and her temple, the temple of Philae in Egypt, which was most beautiful. Isis speaks. I have taken you in every way a goddess can. The fruit of my labor bursts between my legs. Feminine power bleeds down my thighs. You are caught in the awe of my power. I suckle you at will until my thirst is quenched. Then I lay you gently upon the earth and tell my story of conqueror on these walls with the art of my pen. One day I will return to this temple, hold the beauty of the goddess hands that scrolled on these walls. I will stroll across the temple walls and wonder in awe, who bequeathed this beauty risen from the sand? Reserved space. The back end of this axe beats the stakes into the ground to hold this tent in place next to the river. Still, it is not secure. The wind may take it away. I do not want to be held in place like this tent. I want to swim deep and rise like a phoenix, reborn as goddess of this river, singing in the choir of its flow. I feel the heaviness of 1,000 years dragging me in my contemplative state. I move forward by divine grace on the Nile and flood the landscape to renew the earth. Today, I float in the Arkansas River that gives pleasure to ungrateful humans for just a moment in time. And I still feel the blue Nile massaging all my senses. I say to all souls who approach the river, do not come with destructive crayons. My tent reserves space only for those with a joyful heart. Dear Nefertari, and this is Queen Nefertari, who was one of the many wives of Ramesses II, and he built a temple just for her, but she also has a tomb that is absolutely spectacular. And all of these things are more than 4,000 years old, but I was very impressed with her temple and tomb. You stand out in my memory bank. Even the ancient Greeks paid homage to your beautiful prowess and intellectual power with the gift of silver that stood out against all the gold adorning your body. Your tomb is a womb of majesty. Were you surprised to find out when your soul left the body, you could not take any trinkets with you to the next life? After 3,000 years, your tomb rose like a phoenix from the sand. You left a legacy of feminine power that screamed into the future. Many stand today before your beautiful imagery in awe. Some read the hieroglyphics that sing your story. No men are in your tomb. The power of your presence is a symbol to the power of feminine energy given from the heavenly planes. Or was it simply Ramesses glorifying his beloved, most beloved of many females? He was busy, but always found his way back to your arms. He took your body, but never conquered your soul. How many times have you returned to earth to fight for the freedom of the sacred feminine? How many times have you stood on the edge of the planet, overwhelmed with sacred water flowing from your eyes to bathe the sadness that nature holds? Key of life. All over most of all of the temple walls, there's this thing called the ankh, and it is the key of life, which was a very powerful symbol for ancient Egypt that later the Christians took on and made a cross from. This is called the key of life. Every tomb I enter, the key of life stares at me from the hieroglyphics. I rub the words on the wall. A window opens and I see chariots of lifetime after lifetime pass by. The masters whip scars the horses and they run without a destination. The hieroglyphics roll across my skin, awakening my senses to the light bearers of 1,000 years. I drink deep into the past, see the intellectual vibrancy and darkness sucking on dry bones. Today, light and darkness still rise to win across the planet. We adjust to the ugly, sip indifference, bathe in numbness, and freeze kindness. Suddenly, the window closes. A strong feeling of deja vu binds me to the imagery. The key of life is eternal and opens and closes the gate like an unending wave. Nubian prince. A black velvet Nubian walks into my line of sight. I want to kiss his subtle lips and delicately blended cheeks. I look into his eyes and say, "You are beautiful." I ask the translator to tell him so. His smile rains gratitude on my heart as I float in the ecstasy of the Nile River. My smile begins to glow as his radiates. I bathe in the wonder of how black, born again from the tombs of 1,000 years, is so beautiful. And I know at the next level, I am blessed with the gaze of a Nubian prince. Pinch me, please. My body is begging for a reality check. My soul is out of control. Mummies of the pharaohs. Did someone put up a for sale sign on sand-buried tombs with an asking price no one could fold arms around? The mummies of the pharaohs pull from their tombs, tremble for the souls that left them thousands of years ago. Subjected to the hawk eyes of curious humans, there is nothing to save them. What bodies do those pharaohs possess in the 21st century? Do they feel the pain of ages when they look at the bodies left so long ago? Did they participate in the unearthing of tombs to discover their old bodies? Or did they become Egyptologists in today's historic arena, fascinated by the past lives they may not recognize? We know the concept of digging is also a human concept, just like other animals. It's called curiosity, sometimes peppered with greed in humankind. Mount Nebo Reflections. Standing on top of Mount Nebo, surrounded by the strain of a sandstorm, I cannot see the Dead Sea. I see the spirits of the pharaohs, images of their gods and goddesses, and I see Moses looking into the promised land. Souls on the color spectrum parade across my visual bridge from the ancient lands. I feel confused until spirit brushes my face with wind currents and my ears hear, all my souls are broken, stroking massive egos, drowning in pride, and carrying material trash to an afterlife that does not accept gold nor civil charms. Only light bodies may enter the heavenly kingdoms, we do not learn. We still hold on to the sorcerer's greed. And the next piece I want to read, I wrote before I went to Egypt, but it's totally related. So I must have had this vision that I would get to Egypt. It's called Woman of Value. If the Egyptians had not denied Nefertari as a possible pharaoh, we might have missed the calligraphy that holds her story from the walls of ancient ruins. She still intrigues in the 21st century. I feel good in my retirement as I stretch beyond my comfort zone, discover the inner bliss of conquering fear. Like Nefertiti, I am powerful and it flows from deep within me. I am made from the experiences of many lifetimes, recognize so much progress on my journey, feel my own inner strength, and know freedom like an eagle in flight. My season to blossom awakens my spirit. I face the forest, smile, and trees wink at me in admiration. My heart swells with gratitude for blessings that float in my river of light. My guardian bears fruit from many years of toil, labor, sweat, rejection, pain, and suffering. I rise up strong from negative ashes, drift in ecstatic radiance with the vigor of a woman of value.
I feel like we've gone through an entire history lesson. That is some beautiful and inspirational and every other superlative that I can think of. We've got time for you to do one more, if you
Okay,
would
thank you.
be so kind. But before, I'm going to let you go ahead and read us out. But thank you so much for coming and talking to us and sharing with us. For those of you who have been watching this series, we've got 3 more left in this round, and then we'll pick it back up most likely in January after the holidays with a whole new set of Tesoro women who are just dying to sing their songs to you. So, Teresa Gallion, thank you so much again, and go ahead and take us out.
Okay, thank you so much too. I am honored and privileged to have been invited to be a part of this series. Thank you, thank you, thank you to you and all the Tesoro sisters. I'll close with this piece. High notes. The mountain speaks to my soul, calls me to love with no distinction between a blade of grass and a rose. Each has a message that rubs love notes up the side of my leg. I shout into the universe, thank you, friend. A 360-degree view smiles, send kisses on the wind train. Sometimes I must touch myself, ask the body what the soul knows. Am I really here with the beloved? For every low moment remembered, the high notes always whisper in the breeze. Come to me, beloved child of spirit. You earn the gift to stand on top of this mountain and feel God's love surround you with light. Thank you very much.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. We will see you on stages, um, in paper. Have a fantastic time on your journey, wherever it takes you. And for all of the folks who are watching us and the folks who will be watching us, thank you so much for supporting Tesoro and all of these fantastic, amazing, unbelievable poets that we're bringing to you. Y'all have I'm always confused with time zones, so I don't even try. Wherever you are, have a fantastic weekend.